Getting that shot?
Always.
Yeah, and my shadow, well, not blocking you because you're filming the wheel probably anyway. Good morning, comrades. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Nürburgring. Welcome to a different type of video because you probably have seen already the onboard with this EK9 of a friend, Ranov. How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, good. And I've been quite a while wanting to explain to you how much work there goes into making these videos, because it's more than just hopping in the car, doing a lap and that's it. And more than just like letting Adrian film a B-roll. It actually takes hours to create video, and then sometimes it's very pleasant to get a very good output, and sometimes you get quite frustrated when it's actually your video is not performing that well. And let me show to you how much work goes into it. So first of all, of course, it starts with a contact with the car owner. Most of the time people reach out to me either on Instagram or Facebook or even YouTube. In this case it was quite simple. We saw each other in a car park and you said, you want to drive my car. Kind of that's it. Most of the times, however, when people DM me on Instagram, they obviously ask, how does it work? What happens if you crash my car? I always say the same thing that I will say to you. If it's due to me, recklessness, like in case, for example, even in 4CS, it was still kind of partially my responsibility. I take the full responsibility. If it's technical defect, bro, sort your car out. If it's oil, could have happened to you as well. And if someone else crashes into us, well, it's then the public road rules apply, so the Nürburgring, so police will get involved and then will get sorted out. So that's basically how we work with. And then of course also talking about mods and also talking about cars, about Nürburgring in general. So it can be between something as like, you want to drive my car, yes, let's go, and it costs literally 30 seconds, okay, let's do it, up to literally maybe an hour when we get carried away with conversation on DMs, etc. Then of course obviously we meet up, we bring the car usually to Apex because we have here quite nice location to film everything, have a nice sun falling down. And two things start happening. Well, we would shoot the intro, sometimes we also do it in the car park, we quickly talk about the mods, the history of the car, some specifics, so that usually takes around 2 or 3 minutes, it's a one-shot wonder and we're done. Adrian also is making B-rolls, which can take between like what, 10 minutes to half an hour. How crazy are you gonna go?
Yeah, I think like 15 minutes is an average, but if the car is really nice or I've got more time than usual, I can spend even half an hour.
Yeah, exactly. So there's additional, like we can say, let's say 20 minutes goes into work and that to actually create additional B-rolls. Then of course it's time for me to set up the cameras. So let me grab those and explain to you the process behind this. So here we have our camera setup layout. Let me quickly jump in and show it to you. I'm using, as of now, 4 cameras most of the videos. We have our main GoPro 11, the latest one, which is together with the media mod and is being attached to the front windshield always. With the media mod mic, it has 2 options. It can record the forward facing mic or the backwards facing. So when it's facing forward, and the latest GoPro is filming what's happening on the road, because I want to have the most detail capturing from the main GoPro from what's happening on the road. The mic is picking up sounds from behind it, so this means the cabin sound, so what we are talking, and also sometimes the exhaust noise or the speaker noise. And that's basically the main setup. It's pretty straightforward. We just put it on the middle of the dash and done. Then the next one is the GoPro 10. It goes onto the passenger side. I always leave it here because I always just double check how it looks like from how the angle looks like. Then we have 2 more. We could also have additional 1 more. Most important one, speedometer, comes with a sticky pad, and then we need to figure out first of all how we are going to set it up. Is it going to be straight on the dash? Sometimes I need to change position when it's too close, so right now we can just do a double check. This seems to be okay, so then I could swipe through the different views, different modes. So now it's in linear mode. I can go to so-called super view, so it's going to be super wide angle, so then I could easily see what's happening there. Sometimes this is not enough, so then what I would need to do is swap it from forward to backward, just explaining you the whole workflow, how much there is going into it. It's not that like I need to do it with every video, but sometimes you need to go with a reposition, you put it more away from the speedometer so you would have a better view of what's happening on the dash. And I'm not sure if you can see it on camera, but now we can basically see the whole dash, which is nice. So we put it on and it sticks. Now sometimes it happens that the sticky pad is too old and then it doesn't stick, and then we need to again take it off, put on the new one, then make sure that it sticks, and then it's fine. Then comes the choice of the fourth camera. Which one should we use? For cars with manual gearbox, I like to use pedal cam. This means this I need to disassemble, put it on the sticky mount again, and try to stick it somewhere there which is going to stick. It is always 50-50. Sometimes the camera will stick, sometimes it will not stick because of the type of the material that is used for the dash. Sometimes it will stick and it will fall off mid-lap, and then we're done. Recently I realized for the faster cars you guys like to see actually what's happening behind us, so then it's kind of straightforward. We just put the camera behind, and there's also a nice example here that we do not have a rear seats or like rear doors that we can easily access to, so then it becomes like very awkward trying to put it there behind. So I'm gonna go through it, and yeah, and then we're done. Now obviously when I'm strapped in, I cannot turn on the GoPro immediately, so I need to either do some like wireless control, or most of the time we turn this one on before we go for a lap and then strap ourselves in and then turn on 3 more. Now by now we've gone like through what, Adrian? 5 minutes, 10 minutes? Probably.
Yeah.
We still have another GoPro, the other one where we need to see how the position is going to look like on the other seats. So we'll turn this on so we can see what's happening on the screen. And then this is obviously for right-hand drive cars. For left-hand drive, we're gonna swap the angle a bit. Every car is different. Every car, some cars they have smaller windows, narrow windows. They have narrower, like completely narrower windows, different type of shapes. So it's not that you can stick and figure out. You always want to make sure that it kind of looks okay. So there's a bit of work here. I would have gone for lower. So we should go a bit lower, make sure that it's not too close. I always make sure that the steering wheel with me is visible. Try to get the shifter in, but most importantly is the passenger and my own face, so you can see what is happening with us. So how much time did we waste now on this?
4 minutes 40 seconds.
4 minutes 40 seconds. So that's only to setting up the camera. It's additional already 5 minutes to roughly to shoot the intro, and then what Adrian was doing half an hour. Now, when you're doing only one onboard today, that's no problem. But then realize that we sometimes on a busy Sunday, we have 7 of those. And we start from here. We have to drive to the track. We end up in a traffic jam. We want to find a parking spot. It is already, you can say that the preparation alone is already half an hour to 45 minutes. Then we go on the track, we drive a lap, and then hopefully it goes okay. That additional lap alone is also probably like, well, 10-minute lap coming on the track, off the track. It's usually around 20 minutes of footage, and then sometimes we also have traffic jam. When we have a traffic jam, it gets even worse. So I would say this part up until now, until shooting, is at least an hour alone, but probably more. And then again, realize that we have multiple videos, multiple onboards per day. We need to swap cameras, swap batteries, put them on charge, take the SD cards out. That's additional extra workflow. So after we've done all of this, to be honest, this is actually the basics and it's pretty easy. So now let's move on to the actual editing part. How much work goes into that? And even that is not the most time-consuming or the important aspect of us making video for you guys. Alright, and now a fast forward into my office or man cave or editing cave, who cares? Most importantly, we are going to edit this video, but first of all, a mandatory thank you to the, not really sponsor of today's video, but to Secret Lab for sending me over this chair. This is not an advertisement because actually I bought the Secret Lab chair a long time ago, and then they saw it, they said, oh, you have an older one, would you like a new one? Yes, thank you very much. I also had another one at Rimac when I was working back then. It's still there. Marta is using it because it's an amazing chair, and now I have a new one which helps me to, well, make my editing hours significantly more bearable. So thank you very much for that. And now let's get started. We will be today editing a different video, by the way, because the Honda video, the raw footage, got lost on a crashed SSD. So doesn't matter, we'll do something else now. The principle is all the same. So it all starts with, of course, importing the footage into the editing software, and both Adrian and I are using the DaVinci Resolve Before we were using Premiere Pro. I think good that those days are over. Yeah. Anyway, before importing the footage, you need to copy the footage from the GoPros and the main cameras that we're using. And depends how much footage you have on the GoPro. Sometimes we shoot 10 onboards on a day, and then with like almost up to 100 gigs of footage per card, it can take you almost an hour of importing the footage. But let's say roughly per video it takes you like 15 minutes of downloading the footage off the 5 different SD cards. We're gonna use the timer actually to show you how long it roughly takes towards the end of the video, so you can add another 15 minutes of importing the footage to this. And then we import the footage. So we have, for the video of today, we have 5 different cameras, so let's say 4 GoPros and additionally 1 outside camera that we use to record the walk around. So we import quickly the GoPros. We have now the outside footage. You unfortunately do not see me importing it because we're running just the Windows screen recorder, because usually we never do that, and that was the first software that we found that's easily accessible. We have the inside camera that we put inside there. We have also the speedometer camera that we're gonna put on top. As you can see, I'm stacking up all the GoPro footage above each other because this way, that's how you essentially work. You work in different layers of footage on top of each other. We're quickly gonna sync them up, and by syncing, how I do it is you will see me and most of the content creators use either a sync clap or a sync snap, because what it does, it creates a peak in the audio wave that you can use to align the footage above each other or among each other. So you can see these 2 peaks. I always do 2 snaps, so you make sure that you have actual snap and not like closing of the door, etc. So okay, this is pretty okay. Probably you have a different software that you can use to align them with each other, but I'm working old school. It works fine enough. It doesn't take me too much time. Although by editing 500 videos a year, if you can save up to a minute, it's like you can save up to almost 10 hours on a year basis. That you can do some other fun stuff than just like syncing up the footage. Anyway, this seems to be pretty aligned. So what I do next is to actually make it all viewable. So I'm gonna quickly disable the view footage here, and then actually let me quickly make it one main screen. Yeah, not 2 screens. Open the inspector tab, and we're gonna start lining up the footages. Actually, we'll start with the feed cam, so we're gonna narrow it down a bit smaller. It goes to the top of the screen, should be something like that. The speedometer cam, we definitely do not need all the info that we see on the screen, so we definitely gonna cut this out. We have speedometer on the right, but we also have speedometer on the info screen, so we're gonna just also cut out the other speedo. Gonna crop this down, crop this out until here, and the ref counter is always important, so people can complain about the going too high in the refs or too low in the refs, shifting too early. Good for the algorithm, keep them coming. So always give people something to comment about. The speedometer cam let's put it on the top. Then the feed cam can go back in there. I think that kinda works. Just gonna crop this side. Yeah, that actually works nicely. I'm gonna move the speedo cam slightly, and then also crop it from the bottom. There's lots of like OCD happening here, that I want everything to be perfectly aligned and lined up, so there's lots of time going into that. Interior cam should be somewhere there, probably a bit smaller. There are many different ways of aligning the footage and prioritizing the stuff that you see and you don't see. I think for this it works kinda fine. Then we move the outside camera just downwards because we don't need to see all of the dash, and I think it kind of works. The last thing is we're going to mute all the channels of the cameras, of the microphone inputs from the cameras that we don't need, because we only use one microphone from the camera facing outwards because it has a directional mic facing inside. Okay, this seems to work nicely. We have all the info, we see the feet, we see the speedometer with the rev counter, and we see also the inside camera of what's happening inside the car. This is pretty much done. So by now we can also see what are we going to cut away, what is important, what is not important. Again, most of the times I edit the video by watching the audio format, because by looking here we can see like, okay, the audio wave is quite high. This means probably the engine is running in high RPM. Indeed, we are on track. Here, you see the audio level is low, so nothing is happening, probably boring. So in the recent times, in the past, if there is some interesting conversation while we're going to the track, when we talk about the car or etc., I will probably include it. In this case, the first part is just blah blah getting set up. The last part is me struggling with entering the track. It's not important at all. And the conversation here, I know for a fact it was not that important to include. Most importantly, people are skipping the whole intro where we talk about the car details, the section that I will include in this video in a bit, go straight to the onboard. It's what the YouTube analytics show me. And then immediately they ask, how much power is the car running? What engine does it have? Yeah, that's something that we do in the intro. Why don't you watch the intro where we explain everything about the car? The YouTube struggles, the YouTube struggles. So in this case, we're gonna just crop everything out until the start of the onboard, start of the lap, more or less. Good, fine. Now we see here something is also happening. We're again not running. Now usually it will maybe mean that there is an accident or we came to a stop because there is a yellow flag. It's a sequence that we also cut out. But in this case, we're going to leave it inside because it's actually the main point of the video where we get escorted off the track. Something that you will see in an upcoming video or already have seen if that video has been already published. Then towards the end, we make it all nicely. We come off the track, etc, etc, etc. All is good. We made it safely till the end. Yeah, we made it safely off the track, so that is the point. So usually what I do actually here, because once we cross the finish line, the info of the speedometer is not important anymore, also the feed cam is not important anymore. So what we do is we cut these two things away, and then we make the interior cam actually the main camera. So let's put this back on. I'm just gonna put this a bit more down, crop the top layer, put this one up so you have something else to look at than other than our faces.
One more time. It was also nice to show how quick the emergency service was there.
So we talk a bit about there's some conversation going on.
It was really cool.
Absolute blessing.
It was amazing.
Absolute blessing.
I think that's good. So this we cut off, and then the most important thing is also in the inside where we have actually the encounter with the marshals. Once they arrive here, we are going to use the same camera angle to emphasize on the interior shot and the exterior shot. So I would say roughly from here until we start driving. So delete this, we crop this. The easy thing with DaVinci is that you can actually take the properties of the other clip, we Control C, use it, Alt V, and then you put the video attributes, and then you have actually exactly the same thing going on there. More or less perfect. Now comes the very boring part as well, something that I hate, but why it probably took me forever to edit this particular video. It's because we speak German in this video. It's important to include subtitles. So we're already 10 minutes into editing this video.
Hallo, wir haben gerade Motorfehler gehabt, war kein Leistung mehr.
So Thank God we have the subtitle. Where's the effects? There we go. Titles, subtitle. So I'm just gonna stretch the whole thing out. Okay, so it's 15 minutes. It's 40 seconds of fragment, and I spent good 5 minutes or more actually editing or like typing out the subtitles. Imagine when we have a very long ongoing conversation. That's really time consuming, just like annoying. I'll be happy when AI will be there to actually type it out for you. Maybe it's probably already there.
And he's gonna follow us.
Okay, overall, this seems to be alright. Maybe I'll cut out a couple of other small things. Most importantly now, let's actually put the intro in there. So we're gonna import another clip which was shot with the main camera at the beginning of the video. Again, by using the audio waves,
I think it should.
we can cut off the unnecessary part, and we finish the stuff here. Usually I know exactly what has happened, what has been said. If we need to cut out something that might upset people, trigger people,
I think it
but
should be very
now actually, since we shot this video already quite some months ago, it's maybe good to rewatch it. So again, it's always good to edit as soon as possible because it's fresh in your head, because now you spend or you waste time by rewatching the clips thinking what do you need to cut out potentially.
fun. Not talking about the M4 though, but to insert the calculation here.
Okay, so we need to insert the calculation. We go on Google, we find out how much 550 pound-foot of torque is, and it tells us 745. So that's what we're gonna do now. We insert the title somewhere here. What was it?
Here, calculation.
So we do 745 Newton meters. Let's make it extra big so people will not miss it. They were still gonna ask how much torque does the car have, because people skip the intro as I mentioned.
Calculation here. Yeah. Well, I'm excited.
Okay, that will work.
For that, I mean, haven't lapped a fast diesel in a while. I mean, I only lapped slow diesel, which was my old Mark IV Golf. Be quiet. Yeah.
Another example, when I say be quiet, I refer to the car's brakes. But now we see actually our instructor Tamara running in the background.
Be quiet.
Now someone might say like, ooh, why is he telling the girl to be quiet? Ooh, it's such a bad person. Ooh, these things happen. Like 5 years ago when I started YouTube, I would put out anything out there, I wouldn't care. Nowadays, people get triggered by the minor thing. Good for the algorithm, of course, but also bad for the heart of all the stress. So in this case, we're going to leave it because now we have a proof. In case someone brings it up, we can show you it's about the car. We knew about it, but in any case. It's far-fetched, I know, but it's things that you end up like actually thinking about nowadays as a content creator. Horrible.
Yeah, I guess let's put the cameras in and quickly go for the lap because we only have a few minutes left till the track closes. So let's go.
Okay, one last thing that I need to insert here is actually the thank you message to all the members. So I'm gonna grab it from another project, which we had here from the S2000. It's quite recent. And we go back into the diesel project, and I'm probably gonna insert it somewhere in the beginning of the video. This works fine. Of course, I'm also gonna check if there are new members for the channel. So become one, early releases, yep, and a lot more benefits. So that's kind of it, I think, the majority of the videos. So we have the intro, we have the driving part, including the outro, the most important thing. Now, two things left to do is actually include the first 15-second preview, which is sometimes like the most exciting part to get people excited to watch. In this case, since it's about us getting escorted off the track, we're probably going to include something from here.
Hallo, wir haben gerade Motorfehler gehabt. Engine
I'm gonna include a couple of clips in a fast forward. So from here till roughly here, just gonna select it all, including the subtitles. Okay, that kinda works. We have 10 seconds of preview, and then the intro follows, and then the actual onboard, and that's kinda it. Now, in between also, sometimes as you could have seen on the beginning of the video that we shot with the Type R, we have also Adrian who's making like some fancy B-rolls, some fancy intros with the music. That will go separately, something that he will edit, so I either will send him the project file afterwards that he inserted, or maybe he will edit the whole video completely. But then, how much time would you usually do over the editing of this?
For a whole video?
No, for the intro part alone, like of the B-rolls.
20-30 minutes.
Yeah, so you can add additional 30 minutes probably with export. So let's say 30 minutes on top of what we just did, which is editing the whole video alone is actually, well, for now it's 30 minutes. So then 30 minutes of the fancy stuff in addition, and then we have to render the whole thing. So let's say that from my side for now, the video is more or less finished. So it takes roughly 30 minutes to edit it. And in addition, if you have also some fancy stuff and another 30 minutes that you haven't seen. We will export the video, and that's actually quite the easy part. So we do Control E. No, wait, not Control E. Control E is to get the export of something else. So we export it in YouTube 4K settings. We do it in QuickTime, 60 megabits per setting, 60 megabits per second. Audio, we have only one channel, so it's fine. So we're gonna browse, put it in the done folder, and we call it Diesel ST. Doesn't matter what we call it, because the final name of the video is what matters on YouTube. Add to render queue, and luckily the rendering is actually very quick on my PC. As you can see, the 4K video, which is roughly, what was it, like 30 minutes long or something, takes 5 minutes to render. So this is not even the longest time. So it will happen on the background. In the meanwhile, I will do some emails or something, or I don't know what. So we do a fast forward till it is all done. Okay, for the sake of this video, you can just assume that we are done with rendering. So add another 10 minutes to the workflow. Now, this is the YouTube part. On top, I'm also active on Instagram, on TikTok, and Facebook, and they all require their own format, because YouTube is 16:9, the proper format, what you're watching on. Instagram and TikTok, like vertical or reels, and also YouTube Shorts recently. And you cannot just put this and put it differently. So what we need to do now is grab the most exciting 1 minute part that we can put on Instagram for the short attention span people on TikTok or etc., and format it accordingly. So, I mean, it's obviously where we are breaking down is probably the most important, most interesting part. Maybe the intro actually. This is interesting. So what we'll do is just grab the whole thing here. I'm not gonna like go too much into detail now, because for the sake of this video, just so you know what is happening. So let's say this fragment is fine enough with us. So what we do is we need to open the vertical project where it is already aligned as 9:16. We insert all these clips and we start aligning again. So usually we put the main thing on the top, we zoom it in slightly because otherwise it's too small. We put our interior shot somewhere in the middle. So now we have aligned the whole thing accordingly for Instagram format, for the vertical. It costs us another 5 minutes probably on top, another rendering. Then we have to do the same thing with Facebook. So we already have the things grabbed. So actually we need to go back to the main project, because for Facebook we're actually gonna take everything, project manager, we go to FB social, we input that all in there, and we start our aligning game again, but then in a 1x1 format. So what we need to do is do another alignment that it kind of works. You might consider ditching the feed cam, but you know, Facebook is the most important thing to have feed cam, because everyone's an expert there and gonna tell me how not to drive or how to drive. So it's important to have it here. Okay, then this is something that we need to export as well separately, along with the vertical video. So add another, I would say, well, 5 minutes to the whole workflow of export. And by now we're already way over an hour of workflow, including all the fancy extra b-rolls, command focus, and other things, and rendering. So let's say even 1.5 hours of production alone. And that's the best case scenario, because it's just a simple onboard where you stack up the cameras, cut off everything, and done. When we make some other videos, such as, I don't know, like the technical video with multiple camera angles and trying to include b-roll and stabilize footage, that will take you probably like what, 2-3 hours to edit, 4 hours?
Yeah, 3-4 hours.
Yeah, 4 hours for one video. The 24 hours of Nürburgring took weeks. Like what, 2 weeks probably?
Yeah, 1.5, something like that.
1.5 week to edit one video that eventually got 20,000 views. So as much as we creative minds love to produce high quality videos, the reward that you get in terms of views and monetization in relation to the work that you put into them, and something like this, a simple onboard, is just like, that's why for videos such as 24-hour video, we just have to say like, guys, we run a crowdfunding campaign, because otherwise it's just literally not worth our time. Even if we did not have other work to do, I'd rather do something else than like doing a project for 2+ weeks and then on top of shooting, etc., etc., for almost a whole month unpaid. It's just the hard reality of it. Now, even though we are now more than an hour into the production, it's still not the toughest part, because now comes the part how we will make people watch this. Of course, we're gonna have an uploading time with the internet speeds in Germany, and let alone Nürburgring. I always upload through my phone using this as my mobile modem, because the actual like the land internet speed is up to like what, 50 megabits of upload if you're lucky. Usually it's around 20 or 13. It will take you another hour, or between half an hour to an hour upload, but in between you have time to think of the title and a thumbnail, and how we make a clickbaity title that is not too clickbaity to piss people off, and how do you make an interesting thumbnail enough. So usually with thumbnails, what I do is we go back to the project, and as of recently, what I found out that works the best is not the car, unless it's like some special super hyper car that you can then take the picture of a race tracker, or some other pictures that also cost money to buy the picture, and then time to wait for till the photographers process it. Usually you get it either on the same day or the next day, but still the time is incorporated in the whole production process. So you need to figure out what you're gonna do, but most of the times what I wanted to say is that the people, or in this case me, or even when it's a scared passenger, and the eyes work the best. So of course in this case we do have lots of facial expressions that we can find that could be very funny for the thumbnail, but since this video is going to be about us getting escorted off the track, we need to have actually the marshal here somewhere talking to us. Maybe something like this. So what we do, we grab this as a screen grab, we export it to JPEG, and to be honest, at this point, I'm gonna save you the time that takes into the thumbnail production and title thinking, but it can take another at least like half an hour, maybe even more. So everything added up. The setting up cameras, I don't know how long it took us, like what, 15 minutes back then, maybe more. You edited the video by now, it was like
5 minutes, I think.
yeah.
5 to 10.
Yeah, okay, yeah, so setting up cameras, 5 to 10 minutes. Driving to the track, 10 minutes. Doing the lap, 10 minutes. Adrian walking to the track to make a B-roll, another like 10, 15, or maybe half an hour depending on the track spot. Importing the footage on your PC, editing the video for over an hour time. Rendering it, making thumbnail, title, uploading it, different platforms, coming up with a caption for Facebook, planning it, synchronizing it. Overall, for one video, a small video of 10 minutes that you guys all get to enjoy, combined effort is a full day of work. And you have to do it every day. Because I decided to do it every single day, posting a video on all the platforms, in addition then also answering comments in the background. So it's actually a non-stop process, 365 days a week that you get to do. So yeah, it's not that simple. I mean, if you do it maybe once or twice a week, it's a different story. But yeah, I hope you now see how long goes into a video production, and hope it makes you appreciate the work that we put into a bit more, and also more importantly that you get understanding for when we sometimes do not include fancy shots, or we do include fancy shots, because it's we need to also make sacrifice with such a high output production. But at the end of the day, I would say all the effort is worth it, otherwise we wouldn't be doing it. So keep the support coming, if you keep the positive comments coming, keep the views coming, because they make it, at the end of the day, financially worth it. And also other ways to support the channel. And hopefully you also, again, as mentioned, understand why we sometimes do not shoot videos, because like racing content, which costs us in media fees, and there is like simply no views in return, etc., etc. And as you understand, I start to talk nonsense now, so it's time to end this video. The point was clear. I hope you made it till the end. Obviously, if you have some comments, tips, how to edit videos or something, feel free to bring them up. If you want to have your car featured on my channel, let us know. And yeah, see you in one upcoming video that you will know now how much time and effort goes into production with that. That's kind of it from my side. Hopefully it all made sense.